You're listening to the Auxiliary Gate Podcast, Kentucky's weekly horse racing discussion. And now, here are your hosts, Alan Schneider, Brandon Jaggers, and me, CC Broadus. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 45 of the Auxiliary Gate Podcast. And we're joined, as always, Alan Schneider.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm glad the weather's nice because got something to do this March since my Kentucky Wildcats will not be in the NCAA tournament. So I'm glad at least I can get outside and play a little bit.
And beautiful Brandon Jaggers. Are you there, sir?
That's right. I got my hair cut. I'm looking springtime ready. And everyone's telling me in basketball to pick Illinois. So there's that. I couldn't tell you anything about NCAA basketball.
Brandon, you're a big bull and you're sitting in your pasture. And we're glad you're here. And let's talk about the previous weekend. Big Derby prep at Oaklawn, won by Concert Tour for Bob Baffert, wire to wire, turning away an early challenge from Caddo River, and really didn't give anybody else any chance. Alan, your thoughts on the Derby chances of Concert Tour?
I'm probably in the same boat as a lot of people. It looks right now like a 4-horse race with the addition of Concert Tour, in addition to Life is Good, Essential Quality, and Greatest Honor. A lot of talk this week about did Florent Giroux on Cattle River take back too much. I didn't see it being that big a deal. I thought Cattle River was just he was going to get the lead. I don't know what Florent Giroux really could have done. The best horse won. It got a little rough down the stretch for couple of horses, but I thought some of the criticism of Florent Giroux was a little much. I probably would have done the same thing. But, yeah, we now have a fourth A horse in the Kentucky Derby picture. Not to say that the other ones don't have a shot, but Concert Tour looked fairly legitimate in that effort.
I agree with you, Alan. They Concert Tour, 3 for 3. Cattle River, I would say it's Cox's B horse.
Yeah.
The run, I don't think I'd fault Flo at all. I think he had to do what he had to do, but Baffert's got a real live one, man, and it's and of course it's owned by Gary and Mary West.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought out of that race though, I did like Big Lake. So next time out, I'm watching for Big Lake.
Yeah, we have Gary Palmisano on the show later to talk about the Louisiana Derby, and he was high on Big Lakes a few months ago, so I'm sure he feels validated by this horse's performance. This horse very well may make the Kentucky Derby.
Also on the weekend, She Dares the Devil won the Azeri Stakes at Oaklawn on Saturday, and then later that day, Swiss Skydiver, who also won the Preakness Stakes last year, was an easy winner of the Beholder Mile. So we've got those two fillies. Look like they're back in great form, and hopefully they'll meet somewhere down the line. But we've got two guests tonight, and one of them is a friend of the show, and she's already in New Orleans, and the second one is on his way to New Orleans. So we'll have them on here in a minute, and Alan's going to introduce our first guest tonight.
Well, we've got another treat for you guys tonight. The Auxiliary Gate Podcast BFF is back, calling from New Orleans, Louisiana. Of course, I'm talking about your favorite trainer and mine, Michelle Lovell, down there in Cajun country. Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Oh, and now that you're back with us, we're great. Say hi to CC and Brandon here real quick.
Yeah, hi guys.
Yeah,
Can't
we
wait
love
to.
you.
Yeah, I love you guys too. Can't wait to see y'all.
Yeah, it's sneaking up on us, that's for sure.
It went by fast. Yeah,
it really has. It really has. As we stated earlier, it's Louisiana Derby Day down at New Orleans this weekend, so we want to discuss it. And there's no better person to discuss the goings on at New Orleans and her successes down there than Michelle. So I guess the first question is, Michelle, have you enjoyed your winter down there in New Orleans? Well, we've all been freezing and putting up with it down here. How's things been going for you down in Cajun country?
Yeah, it was really cold when it was cold everywhere, but it wasn't as cold here. So yes, we, very, very fortunate to be in a good wintering spot. So it's quiet this year, not a lot of stuff going on, no parading and the, normal Mardi Gras stuff, the activities and tourists and stuff. So it's been kind of quiet, but I don't mind that at all. And the meat's been really good.
Yeah, your numbers would back that up, ma'am. Your numbers would back that up.
Oh, except for the wins. It took us forever to win a race.
But then they came in droves.
Yeah, well, and we just a lot of seconds. Like we counted a lot of seconds. We were like, yay, we saved a condition. Boo.
Yes. Well, that's one of the reasons I'm always touting your horses, because you always run well. Your horse always run well, and you're the exacta trifecta superfecta queen, and then you get those wins on top too. So I'm going to go over your stats here real quick for the folks that don't know. At the Fairgrounds meet, you started 38 horses, right, so far. You may not even know this. I don't know. You did have the 4 winners, but all those came in the last 2 weeks or so, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah.
11 seconds and 4 thirds. So that by my count, you've hit the board half the time down there.
Right.
And that's true Michelle Lovell fashion, quite frankly. Your horses always fire, and they consistently hit the exotics if they don't win. One of those winners, actually, you had running on Saturday on Louisiana Derby Day. It's a horse named Sail on Ellen. It's a former turf sprinter that you made into a turf router, and that turned into a maiden win at a 1.1 miles, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
1.16 miles.
1.16. I think she's going 1.8 miles this Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So what prompted that move to turn the sprinter into a 2-turn horse, and how do you think she fits at 9 furlongs going against winning fillies?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a step up, and she has been a really consistent filly, sprinting and going long, and she even ran decent on the dirt sprinting. But the reason why I sprinted her she's bred to go long. On her dam side too, it's a long turf, but she is a really headstrong filly that you have to. She's pretty particular to ride, as far as you want to take a hold of her and she doesn't like it. So, but going long, she's learned to kind of settle in, and she did run really well for Colby. Her first time stretching out, it was 1.8 miles, which I really fretted over that, and she ran second that day. Looked like she was going to win it. So, but stepping into a winner's race, obviously there's some really nice proven fillies in there. So I'm just hoping that she, does well. I mean, she's a nice filly, and she's earned a lot of money being a maiden. She's been on the board most of the time.
Yes, she has. I'm going to ask you about this one. You unleashed a debuting 3-year-old filly by Macho Uno named Coeur. Am I pronouncing it Coeur? Am I
yeah,
right?
it's if you're French, it means it coeur, but I say Coeur. Yeah, it means heart in French. Anyway, she's a lovely filly, and she ran huge.
She was 48-1, folks. And full disclosure, I bet the horse, so of course I'm going to ask Michelle about it. But I want to make clear that in that race, she beat Steve Asmussen, Brett Calhoun, Mike Stidham, Tom Amos. I'm forgetting a few. And again, that horse went up at 48-1. Tell me more about this filly, right? Tell me more about this one.
Yeah, she's a lovely filly that the people that raised all my horses with my partner Gaffon Farms, that's TC Stable. They run under that name, but it's Gunston Hall. So she's a foal to the stake horse. He's not alive anymore, but that Bobby Abu Dhabi. So so I was really excited about getting her. And so anyway, I think she's going to like turf too. And that original race was a turf race that came off. And in the mornings, she's always been pretty quick away from the gates. And I thought that's what she would do. So the way she won the race was super impressive, because I never saw her coming from behind, and she ran so game. And she's in on Friday.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I will have to make note of that. Am I going to get 48 to 100 this time? Probably not, am I?
Well, it's a pretty tough race. So Bernie Flint's got his filly Euphoric,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a
Really
nice
nice horse.
filly. Yeah, and there's some really credible horses in the race. So, but I expect her to run good. I hope for a better break, and obviously we don't want to butt heads with anybody, but hopefully we can show up and she'll run good for us there.
Okay. Well, of course, now we've touched on Coeur. Now there's a horse that we're going to bring up. And if you've listened to this podcast, we talk about this horse all the time. And this horse, named Just Might, won the Colonel Power for the second straight year. Am I right? Second straight year winning the Colonel Power.
Yes.
And that race got washed off onto the dirt. And I'm sure you know this, Michelle, but that horse almost set the track record on dirt. Did you know that?
It was so crazy. I mean, it was so crazy, and he did it not
easy.
I think,
easy.
Yeah, I think Colby might have reached back and was gonna tap him, and just threw crosses instead, and then was just easing up on the end of it. So, yeah, we were so close to a track record. And
1/10 of a second. 102 and
a little
102.75. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That was pretty exciting. He ran so well that day. So everybody's asked me the question, are you going to try him on dirt? And I think when the time comes and we're forced to do that, no other places to run him, or we will. But he's pretty good at doing the turf, and then if it rains off, we're great there, obviously. So
you're fine doing rain dances if this one gets rain. Do you think 6 furlongs on dirt would be okay?
I wouldn't say that early on, but he's such a strong animal now, and I think he's learned to be more of a fighter, and he might get the 6 furlongs well now. Before it was a little bit suspect to get that far, but yeah, he's just really matured. I love 5-year-olds. He's a really mature, sound, strong animal. So I'm hoping that when the day comes, we got to find out that he will.
So how much does that horse earn now? That's got to be over 300,000. Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, it's over 300. Yeah.
You just cash the checks, right? Yeah, you just cash the
He saves me. He won the Colonel Power last year, and then the pandemic happened, and he helped me through the earnings from that, gave me a little buffer to keep my crew intact when we moved to Kentucky, and just kind of coasted on a farm for a couple months with no racing, so no earnings. Yeah, so he's the star of the barn, obviously, for a lot of reasons. But
Shakertown next? We going to Shakertown?
We are, yeah. That's what we're shooting for.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to that. That would be opening weekend at Keeneland, if I'm not mistaken. You had a couple other babies run pretty well down there. A couple first-time starters. The mains you got looked pretty good. There was one that caught my eye named Maybe Later. Maybe later. By Not This Time. So a horse is bred to run early, and I think it ran second last time out.
She did.
Of course, 20 to 1, of course.
Yeah, her first time out, she did not break well, and it was on that speed. It was just pure speed bias track that day, and so she, we knew she needed to go long, and we just wanted to give her an out. So stretching her out, I was pretty confident that she'd show up and run well. So I was really proud of her. She's a nice filly too. She's actually been Coeur's workmate this whole meet, so they've outdone each other at different times. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're expecting her not to be a maiden very long. Or him? Is it him?
Right. No, it's a filly too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're expecting a maiden breaker in the very near future.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. She's a nice filly.
You heard it here first, folks.
She's really mature. She's a big, scopy, great brain on her. She's just a really mature in her mind horse, good-minded. And she's grown into her body really well. So, yeah, I'm excited about her future, too.
All right, guys, you're up.
Hey, Michelle, just a general question. When you ship up to Kentucky, is it everybody comes at once, or are you going to stagger it out just to or how does that work?
It's difficult to figure out, but a lot of times I do stagger them, and we'll have two loads this year to go. So I'm pretty sure I'm sending half of them on the 24th, and then as soon as we get done running here, the rest of them will go. So yeah, it's nice because I have a foreman I send up ahead of time. He gets the barn ready. He's been working for me for like 15 years, so he knows the drill, and it makes it just easier, less pressure. So, and then I'll be right behind him because we got to get the big horse ready for his first race at Keeneland. We got no time to waste.
That's right.
That's good. I wanted to ask you about Change of Control. How is she doing?
She's doing fabulous. Yeah, she's in on Friday.
Oh, really?
First time she's ever been the favorite. Yeah, I think she's 2-1 morning line. So she usually pays a lot when she wins. So
yeah.
But it's a nice race. There's some nice fillies in there, and so that's why we got to run the race. So, but I hope and pray she wins. She's been doing fabulous. We're really very fortunate. Scott Jones put a race in the book, open allowance like that for it, and that'll set her up. Hopefully we get to the Giants Causeway with her at Keeneland.
That's what I was going to ask you. If everything goes well here, I assume, Giants Causeway.
Yep.
That's the second Saturday of the Keeneland meet, so that would work perfectly. Yeah, that's great.
Good timing.
Well, I'm hoping at this Keeneland meet. I guess you're not gonna keep two barns. Will you be shipping from Churchill to race at Keeneland?
Yeah, it's lovely to go to Keeneland with your horses and train there, but it's so close, and so we do.
Right.
I just have a couple of stalls that we'll ship into, and if we have to stay a day before the race or a day after, we can do that. Have a nice quiet place to be. So, but yeah, we'll just ship in from Churchill the morning of.
Well, listen, I'll offer my volunteer services to not really do much unless commanded to, because we're in this lottery day, and if we're not racing those days, I can't even get in, I guess. I don't know. I think I can always talk my way, but
we'll get you in. We'll get you in.
I got tickets on the 18th through this lottery, and I've got until the 15th to buy them, and then I guess they go out to other people, and I don't know. It sounds so crazy with COVID, and I mean, the restrictions are loosening almost every day, and
God hope.
The track's still doing what it's doing, but we're trying to get the podcast on the road show and do some video, and Mike Joyce really wants to have me on his stand, and I was just hoping you could be the conduit for that day.
Yeah.
But I offer Craig. Craig is he's a good hot walker. He can do a lot of different things. So,
well, we can always use a little extra help, filling up wash buckets, whatever. We don't care.
I could exercise the horses. I weigh about 220. They'd be really fit.
Well, they'll be ready. We'll put you on the big ones.
And another selfish ploy. I'm actually engaged now. I don't know if you knew that.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that.
I'm off. Yeah, I'm off the market, but we're going to shoot our engagement photos. Yeah, we're coming to Keeneland to shoot engagement photos. So
that's awesome.
I'm thrilled about trying to make it work, and if it doesn't, I'm going to actually have some at Churchill as well. So
good. That's nice.
I only get like 3 things in this whole wedding, and that's one of my choices. The rest.
We had engagement photos at our barn with my pony a couple years ago. He was in the background. Yeah, they hung out with him and did engagement photos. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, we can put you on him if you'd like.
Oh wow, that'd be awesome. But I'll put Sarah up. But so we're excited to just get you back home and see what the guys know your runners before they even enter. So
that's so exciting. I'm so glad you guys follow me. That makes me feel so good. Yeah.
And I tell you what, Michelle, there's people that listen to this that love you too. I mean, you do good numbers. Let's put it that way. People love listening to your stories and stuff. That's why you keep getting asked back.
Yeah, I'm happy to always come on your show. You guys are awesome, awesome people anyway, and you do fun. The interviews are always fun. Yeah, lighthearted and nice.
Yeah, we
Hey, Miss,
appreciate.
real
Go ahead,
quick,
Brandon.
do you have any first time starters yet? Have you started, or
Well,
anybody that we should
I've,
kind of take a look at, or what's the barn like right now? How many
well,
head do you have?
we have just under 20 right now. So,
Oh, okay.
but I've run two of my firsters here, and I've got another firster on Sunday, and she's 5.5 on the turf, which I think she's gonna want to go long. But I got to get them. I want to get a race in them, and my babies are just making it. Thank goodness, So some of the young-minded ones won't have to ship to Keeneland. They can wait for Churchill, and so it's really good to get a race in them. And then I have another little filly that she's a hit at a bomb filly.
Yes.
And yeah, I like her too. And so I have two more firsters if the race goes for the other filly. So yeah, well, and if either one of those win, they'll blow up the tote board, I'm sure, because
Hit
we're
an
always
A-bomb.
running. Yeah, we're always running against horses that have been bought in sales for hundreds of thousands, and most of mine are homebred. So
That's why we follow. That's why we like betting your horses, because they pay some money. And I think
yeah,
Hit It A-Bomb won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, right?
he did.
CC?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a little breeding there and stuff. That's impressive.
Yeah,
Hey,
I like her.
if we can somehow get in there on Bluegrass Day, because we tried for tickets to get him. We're gonna come see him where you can get us in there on Bluegrass Day if it's for the Shakertown or Shakertown Day as you call
Is that
it.
Shaker? I was gonna say, what's Bluegrass Day? We got a Shakertown Day. Absolutely, yes, absolutely. If we get paddock passes and all that stuff as guests, you are more than welcome. So yeah, we'll keep in touch about that.
Sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we don't want to keep it too much longer, Michelle. We know you've got plans tonight and stuff. We always appreciate you coming by. You always enlighten the pod, always make it a lot of fun. So we appreciate you coming by. And we're going to talk to you on air at Churchill as well, too. You know that, right?
Yes, yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, I got to say goodbye to her. She's got to run, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Michelle. We love you.
Love you guys, too.
Well, guys, as we've mentioned, the big Louisiana Derby card is this weekend. So we wanted to invite back the Louisiana State-bred Shark, who not only helped us with the LeCompte card at the fairgrounds, he torched it with winner after winner. That kind of money-making performance for our listeners deserves an invite back to the show. And now that I've put this unbridled pressure on him, it's time to welcome back Churchill Downs wonderkin himself, Gary Palmisano Jr. How are you doing, Gary?
I'm doing very well. How are you guys today?
Great,
Thanks for that great introduction.
No problem. But we do appreciate you coming back. You earned your spot back on here with your performance a few weeks ago. It was not lost on me and CC and Brandon, I'll tell you that. So
yeah, no, we picked a few winners, so we'll see if we can replicate.
Yeah, I know. But again, I put pressure on you, and I apologize. But you know how that goes. Oh, so by the way, Gary, you're leaving for New Orleans here in a day or two. Is the Louisiana? You're from down there.
Yep.
Is the Louisiana Derby part of your annual? Is it a rite of passage for you to go in there? Are you there every year for this big race?
I've been to a vast majority of them. Yeah, this is always a great time of the year for me to, like, my mom and dad and my grandparents and all are there. So this is a good time for me to sneak down there before the Derby grind, because once we get into April, May, June, we have racing. And so I do try to get down there every spring, and Louisiana Derby always makes sense for a weekend to go for sure. So, yeah, I've gone the last I didn't go last year, obviously, with COVID going on, but I'd been to 5, 6, 7 of them before that, plus almost every year growing up.
Sweet. Now, when you get down to the racetrack on Saturday, is Krista Feck and is it Brian Dano? Are they going to let you go on air with them? I mean,
no, I'm going to just kind of hang out and try to help out some of the racing team there. Try to keep some of our post times on schedule and make sure that we're doing the best we can, to maximize our handle and stuff. So I'll kind of just be floating around a little bit.
All right. Well, I did my part to get your face on there, but maybe down the road here. As I said, folks, Gary, he really was a huge help on LeCompte Day. He gave us several winning plays, and not only that, he gave us great info on the fairground circuit in general. So we wanted to have him on. But before we get to the big stakes action in late pick 5, we're going to discuss the pick 5. I wanted to ask him real quick about the cost of rising on turf, 5.5 furlong sprint on the turf, and grade 1 winning, no pros in there for Tom Amos. He's a dirt horse, and he's going against state breds in that spot on the turf. So what I want to ask you before CC takes over is, do you think no pro is a lock? Because there's a lot of hard-hitting Louisiana breds in there. What's your take on that race?
Well, I think it's really hard to take a really, really short price on a horse that's never done something before. And this horse has never been on the turf. And while he is the fastest horse in the race and he does have the most class, to take 2 to 5 or 3 to 5 on a horse like that is a big ask in the way I wager and in my opinion. Skimming through the race, there's a lot of class in there. There's a lot of seasoned veterans. No Parole is of course the horse to beat, and will be really tough in there. But boy, you just never want to take that short a price in a 14 horse field with a horse that's never done something like that before, and the grass being the factor.
Yeah, I know off the top of my head, Monty Man's in that race, and he's a Louisiana win machine. So you might get a price on that one today with no pro in the race. So, but all right, CC, let's roll on this pick 5. Lead us off, pal.
Absolutely. All right, it's a marathon 14 race card.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with race 10. This is the first leg of the 50-cent Black Gold 5. And Gary, I hate to put you on the spot, but this is not a jackpot wager, right?
No. So this will be the normal regular pick 5. It looks like what happened was whenever they made the card, they pulled last year's information in automatically. But you'll see tomorrow when the program actually goes final with the morning line odds and everything that the correct wager heading will be on there.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right. I was just going by daily racing form. So, okay. So no jackpot on the pick 5. The first leg is the Tom Benson Memorial $150,000 stakes for fillies and mares, mile and 16th on the Stall Wilson turf course. And we now see that this will be the return of Delika, the 5-year-old German mare. She's won 6 of her 18 starts lifetime. I hate to steal anybody's thunder, but she has never won 2 races in a row. Gary, we'll start with you. Are we for or against Delika in this spot?
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to go back to what we talked about last January. The rails will come down, and we'll be back on the most inner portion of the turf course at 0. And as we've typically favors horses on or near the lead. Even if you just look at 2 of the horses in this field, you look at His Glory, who ran on February 13th, which was Risen Star Day. Raced near the lead, as of course did Delika, who kind of sat right off of His Glory and ended up being able to hold off some of the deeper closers. And a lot, again, goes to that point about the inside rail being the place to be or on or near the lead. You want to keep that in the back of your mind, of course, but a lot of class in this race. Of course, Delika kind of being the horse that'll probably go off as the favorite. In my opinion, I think this is a really wide open race and a race that you need to spread quite a bit in. Delika, Logic and Reason, Temple City Terra past the plate, and even Dream a Little Dream of You on the outside, a horse that's only had one real off performance and seems to be very consistent and working well. So to me, this is a definite spread.
Okay, Alan, let's go to you now. Who do you like in the Benson Memorial?
Well, that depends. We got to ask Brandon first. Is Dream a Little Dream of You going to run in this spot? This is Brandon's horse, folks.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm so glad Gary touched on my little filly. She's not little anymore. She's 4. She's growing up in big shoes now, and she's working out great. If y'all remember back when we had Nancy on the podcast, we were trying to ship her out to Oaklawn to run for those big purses, but Oaklawn was shut down for a couple weeks because of the snow. and just overall terrible conditions on that track. So she's missed some time and, needs a race really. And we may keep her here or we may end up scratching out and going other places. But so far, I think this is where we're looking. So, it's going to be Brad's ultimate call. But I do think we're competitive. And in the morning, she's showing every sign is what the barn's saying. So I like to see that. Obviously, the work tab looks great. But, I'm thrilled to have a race again. Is she up against it with some older mares? Yes. There's no doubt about it. But I'm with Gary. If the rail is down and if that turf is firm, which, man, I know it's hard to be firm out in Louisiana, she could be very competitive. But the post is tough. But if she can get over and actually, gets up towards the pace, I hope she could carry it around because I know she can. And if there's, a late kick, I'd love to see what she has. She needs a race. She wants it now. So why not on Saturday?
Well, I'm going to tread lightly here personally because the horse that I want to bet is Temple City Terror. It's the horse came rolling. I thought finished the best in the last race of all these horses, and it gets Joel Rosario today. So that's got to pick up a length closing down the stretch. That said, as Gary mentioned, if the rail's down, it may not be suited to Temple City Terror's running style. So I'll tread lightly like Gary. I'll spread if I'm playing this race. I'll do like a horse a little bit later as a potential single. So no strong opinion. I will maybe tread cautiously with Temple City Terror.
All right, let's turn the page. And this race is terrorizing me. I don't know what to do with race 11. This is the New Orleans Classic.
Oh man.
$400,000 grade 2, 1.8 miles on the dirt course. And folks, there is absolutely no speed in this.
No speed at all.
No speed. There's absolutely nothing that wants to be on the lead. In fact, maybe the favorite could be Owendale here, who actually did set up off of a slowish pace in the Pimlico Special back in October. And he didn't win, right? He was beaten by Harper's first ride, but who happened to be off the board last weekend at Oaklawn. But Gary, let's go to you first. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about the race. Gary, who do you like in the New Orleans?
I 100% agree that there is no pace, but I think I'm all in on Owendale. I think this would be my single in the late pick 5. If you watch some of the races from that Oaklawn Park day a few weeks ago, I didn't think the rail was exactly where you wanted to be, and I was honestly really, really surprised that Joel had Owendale as the inside most horse in that race. I was totally expecting him to be wide and kind of where all the other winners were on that day, including where Mystic Guide was, and he was down on the fence and kind of took to I'm just not sure that was the best place to be that day. And I think second off a layoff, he's the classiest horse in the race. And I wouldn't be surprised if Florent's aggressive early with him, because I think he reads the past performances just like we do. And I could see him realizing that he's on the fastest horse in the race and just taking it to him.
Okay, Brandon.
I'm with Gary. I think Owendale it was a unique race last time out. I was totally agreeing with that. It wasn't Owendale's type of scenario and pace and all that. But I am going to put just one other in here, and that's Sonoman, Joe Talamo, and Steve Asmussen. Steve's been doing great. This horse has been great. But there's really no one else in here that I see fits kind of what this pace scenario is going to deliver. I'm always a big fan of Captivating Moon, but you talk about like breaking my heart, and then of course the one time I don't play it, or actually the one time I did, I kept with it even on the turf. Captivating Moon wins, so that was a kind of a crazy day. But I think Owendale. I'm always a Roadster fan, but not for this type of race, and the distance that Roadster runs. It's so unique to see 7 furlongs and back to 1 1/8. 7 furlongs back to 1 1/8. Michael Stidham's barn now, coming off a long layoff. That's a big question mark to see what Roadster would do. But I'm going to stick with Owendale as my top choice.
I should point out Captivating Moon is cross-entered in the Mervyn Muniz Memorial in race 12. So they're going to have a decision to make. So Captivating Moon might come out of this race. And one more thing, you talk about Roadster going first time for Michael Stidham. We don't know what's going to happen there, but you might take a look at race 8 at Oaklawn on Thursday. Stidham runs a horse for the same connection Speedway Stables, a filly named Auberge, who was previously trained by Baffert coming off a year layoff. If Stidham's horse Auberge runs well there, you might give extra credit to Roadster. Just thought I'd toss that in. Alan, let's go to you.
That's good info, and I'm glad you brought the Captivating Moon thing. I have to think with a potential pace scenario, Captivating Moon would probably lean to the turf, but again, that's just my guess. I have no information on that. I'm going to go back to what these two guys said, and what you said. There's no pacing here. Usually, I can do a pretty good job of projecting who's going to be on the lead, and I can't even do that here. I think there's a possibility someone like a Chess Chief or even Ollie May Boy may try that, but Owendale outclasses Chess Chief. I'm gonna default to Owendale from a class standpoint. He hasn't hit the winner's circle much lately, but he's classier than the majority of these. And also like Brandon's Sonaman, who I think has been in deceptively good form for about 3 races. That includes 2 nice run-on stalking seconds to Maxfield. So you can make the argument that those actually theoretically count as wins. So you hold a gun to my head. I'm just going to try to get by the race with Owendale and Sonaman. That does not mean I don't change on race day, but those are the 2 I would go with.
I want to give a shout out to Mosito Rojo. That's a horse I
Amen.
tabbed that horse to win the Clark Handicap in 2019, and he went off form ever since then. I can stop a freight train. So
I remember you picking him that day. That was a heck of a pick. I remember.
Yeah, he's not been the same since. So anyway, let's go to race 12, and this is the Muniz Memorial Classic, $300,000, Grade 2, mile and eighth on the Stall Wilson Turf Course, and interesting field, 12 horse field. Gary, we'll go to you. I'm guessing that I don't have the morning line here, but I'm guessing number 5, Colonel Liam, with Erod Ortiz and trained by Todd Pletcher. I'm guessing that horse will probably be 2-1, 5-2, somewhere in that vicinity. Gary, who do you like here?
Yeah, I expect Colonel Liam to be the favorite as well. I mean, when the Pegasus World Cup Turf Invitational is obviously, a good race, and he was good that day. I think this is a really interesting race, personally. I've not been a Colonel Liam fan. He's beaten me the last 2 times. I've thought both times he tripped out so perfectly and kind of won because of dream runs, and including in the Pegasus World Turf Cup or whatever it's called. He kind of sat right in the pocket, got a seam, moved out, and was able to win by neck. I'm looking at some of the other ones in here. Cross Border, a horse that just got beat by Colonel Liam. He was 3 wide that day. He didn't get near the trip Colonel Liam got. I'm looking at Logical Myth, who's 6 for 7 in the money over the Fairgrounds grass course. I'm looking at Spooky Channel, who freaked in Houston and ran a career number. And of course, Mike Maker's other horse, the 9 Conviction Trade, on the cutback from kind of the marathon races. So I do not think Colonel Liam is a stone cold cinch here, but I've tried to beat him the last 2 times and we're wrong. So.
Okay, Alan, I know who you like. Why don't you let everybody else know?
Yeah, I'm surprised Gary, our New Orleans expert, didn't mention it. First off, before I say that, Gary, who is Muniz Memorial? Who is Muniz? I honestly do not know.
Mervyn Muniz was the longtime racing secretary at Fairgrounds for years and years, through probably the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s, and 90s probably, and passed away a few years ago, and they changed this name to the Mervyn Muniz in his honor.
Okay, see, and that's why we have Gary on the show, folks. He knows his New Orleans stuff. He knows his fairground stuff. And again, I want him on air with Christopher and those guys. So anyway, it's factor this to me. This race is factor this. He draws the rail, as Gary has said. This horse, it's going to favor speed. I don't believe there's a lot of speed in the race. The maker horse, Spooky Channel, has speed, but that's marathon speed. I think Sean Bridgman sends from the get-go. And even though his past few races have led to poor finishes, he's had to battle on the lead with Spectacular Jim. I believe in the last race, 2 back, he had to battle on the lead with. He had to concede to the very fast Holiday. Those guys aren't in this race today. He's finally going to get a pace scenario that he likes. Sean Bridgman rides a horse as well as anybody. As long as he has not tailed off, I think factor this is a stone cold single. And if I'm going to throw a horse in the exacta, Logical Myth and Colonel Liam will probably make the bulk of my exacta trifecta plays. But I'm singling factor this for Brad Cox.
All right, Brandon, let's go.
Well, that's big because I'm with Gary. I thought seeing Spooky Channel, Conviction Trade take a cutback here when they were blazing up front. Well, especially Conviction Trade was blazing up front at Sam Houston, almost a month and a half plus ago. I love the cutback. I think they're going to let this horse just go. It's Mike Maker on the turf is just deadly, I think. So I think this horse has got a lot of promise. That's my number one, but I'm never going to leave Johnny V off the turf ever. He comes in to ride for Mark Cassidy on Olympic Runner on the outside. Don't care for the post too much, but I do like the change. This horse has always kind of been in competitive fields. That's kind of my long shot, if you will, of the day is this Olympic Runner with Gary Barber, the ownership group, and I love the Giovanni Sire horses. So I'm Conviction Trade, Spooky Channel, followed by Olympic Runner.
One quick thing, CC, before you move on. One thing about factor this, his poor efforts have come. He's had front bandages on the last 4 races. I don't know if that's a correlation or not, or maybe again it's just a matter of the pace scenario has not suited him. But I will make note of that. There is the addition of front bandages led to some poor performances. I tend to believe it's because of the pace scenario has not been to his liking. I believe it will be to his liking today. So that's just one little asterisk I wanted to throw in there. And do you have an opinion while we have you here?
Well, I think if you spread in the race, you got to use, I believe, the 6-horse Logical Myth for Joe Sharp. He's 5 for 7 on the Fairgrounds turf course with a second place finish. I went back and watched that race last time, the Fairgrounds handicap. That was on a yielding turf. He didn't get off to a really good start. Kind of got caught behind another horse, and he was, eighth of 10 early. He did launch a pretty good rally. It didn't look like he was taking hold of the turf course like he should have. I'll just give him another try here. I think if he can break well and get on lap on top of factor this early, he's got a shot to win too. So, and you might get a little better price on him this time, maybe 8-9 to 1 with the Pletcher horse and a couple of the makers, and like I said, factor this. I think you might get a good price on him. So
nobody likes my horse. Nobody likes my horse.
Well, this time last year that he'd be a cinch, right?
Yeah.
It looks like he's gone off form now.
Are we talking about factor this?
Factor this, right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely using him because of the sheer pace advantage that he's going to have. I, like you, noticed the front bandages. I've never been sold that that's a huge negative, but it's obviously something that that's tied into his form reversal. But I'm not. You cannot let that horse beat you. But I just couldn't get around to singling him. But that's the kind of horse. That's the kind of single that you take a stand there, and you're allowed to spend some money in some of the other races, and that's how you hit for a few K for sure.
That's right. But yeah, thank you for guys for throwing that and making me feel better. Thanks.
Well, I mean, you could make excuses for his last 3. I mean, you could say he didn't handle the turf course last time, and he had
too much speed.
With Spectacular Jim.
He's been going real fast early. I mean, I'm looking here at the Briz pace numbers. A 120.
It's insane.
Quarter E2 pace Briz number. I've never even seen a number that high before.
That was against Holiday. He had to chase Holiday that day, so
You know,
Holiday's a fast miler.
He definitely has some excuses for sure.
Okay. Well, I think common consensus here is to spread in this spot. Right. And we're going to go to race 13 now. This is the Twinspires.com Fairground Oaks, and this has been a key race going forward toward the Kentucky Oaks, and I think this year is no different. Looks like the favorite is going to be coming from the 6th hole, and that's Clairiere, the daughter of Curlin, with a blue hen pedigree. That's about as good as you're going to get with cavorting the mare. Just a nice family tree there. She comes out of the Rachel Alexander, where she ran down Travel Column to win in that spot. Joe Talamo rides for Steve Asmussen and Stone Street Stables. Gary, let's go to you first. Who do you like in the Fairgrounds Oaks?
I'll go on my limb here. I think the best 2 fillies in America are in this race, and it's Clairiere and Travel Column.
All right.
Watching some of the other Oaks prep races, I just think from what we've seen so far, these 2 are head and shoulders above the crop. Unless something comes along here late, I think you're going to see a rerun of the Rachel Alexandra, and we'll kind of see who gets the better experience this time. I mean, Clairiere got an absolutely perfect ride by Joe Talamo. He moved down the backside right up the fence to get position and tipped out at the perfect time. And we'll see who gets the trip this time, but I think those 2 are head and shoulders above the rest.
Okay, Alan.
One quick question for you, Gary. I've set the over/under at Brad Cox wins today. I think he's going to win a bunch. I've set the over/under at 4.5. His number of wins on this 14 race card. You taking the over or the under?
I'm taking the under.
What about you, CC?
I think he could win 3 or 4 pretty easily, but he's got a few first-time starters, and a couple of those jump up. I'm looking for him to win 3.
What about you guys? What do you think?
$100 on the under.
Brandon?
I'll take 100 on the under.
All right, I might be betting you guys. I think he's gonna hit the over, and that's not me picking him in the Louisiana Derby. But anyway, and I don't think he's a cinch in this spot. I think Travel Column may win the Kentucky Oaks. I think this race is a little bit deeper than than most people are gonna give it credit for. That's why I was talking about maybe single and factor this in the previous race and taking some contrary horses in this race, because I think there is some contention. I agree with Gary. I think the top 2 are the ones to beat, but I think Zodgel, I think Super Sensational, getting John Velasquez aboard, they may send him today. I'm not saying the horse is going to win. I think that with JV aboard, I think he could get a better trip, maybe up front, get sent. The Mott Juddmonte horse has a little upside to him. Our buddy Joel Politi, Brandon, who we've had on the pod before, has a really, really nice runner here named Little Tootsie. So I would use all those on a secondary ticket if I singled factor this and he were to win. That said, I do believe the race comes down to Travel Column and Clairiere. I'm going to give the nod to Travel Column. I'm not sure he knew Clairiere was behind him last time. I thought Travel Column was gone. That was an amazing ride Joe Talamo gave Clairiere. Give me the slightest of odds of Travel Column. But in all fairness, I think it's actually a really good prep for the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, I think if Clairiere gets out of the break and doesn't, because the comment line says hit the gate. I don't recall that, but I remember getting Travel Column spotted quite a few links. But I think Clairiere, if she comes out and does well out of the gate, there's no spotting Travel Column again. And I think Clairiere goes almost all the way around without, I don't know. I always want to go back to saying if the horse takes the lead, like you said, Alan, Travel Column had the lead pretty much the whole way and got nipped against the rail where Clairiere just snuck up. That's you could be 100% right, but I think Clairiere, based on the breeding and the way that the horse responded last time, if he can come out of the gate, I think this horse is a winner.
Let me ask you guys something. I think Clairiere might be the slightest of morning line favorites. If I saw it, if I remember seeing it, who do you think goes off favorite at post time between those two, Clairiere or Travel Column? What do you guys think?
I think it'd be Cox.
I do too. What about you?
I think it'll be Steve.
Yeah. Oh, you think Clairiere will be favorite? What about you, CC? I mean, it's gonna be close. I'll tell you this, it's gonna be close.
I think they'll go with the recency. I mean, Clariere beat her on the square last time. I think Clariere would be just a slight favorite. I mean, it might be 8-5, 9-5.
That's why I
2-1,
see it.
like yeah.
Just curious. I'm just curious, but that's why I say, like, in races like that, if you can beat the top two favorites in a multi-race ticket, that's when it explodes. So that might be a secondary play for me, but ultimately I do believe it's those two.
I think Travel Column moved too early. I think she got to the lead too early last time. I think they're going to switch tactics. I mean, she gets basically the same post this time. I think they're going to wait or try to wait and try to run down whoever the leader is late. Clariere didn't break well last time, but she did get a good rail, ground saving trip. So maybe I'm going to take Travel Column over Clariere, but I got you both on that. And of course we're going to root for little Tootsie for Joel Politi, and because I thought she was fabulous last time in the slop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, but and they've done a really good job spotting their horses lately. So,
I should mention, I think Joe Politi was episode 39 for us. Is that right, Brandon? Do you know if 40? What do you think, Brandon?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
But I do know Gary was episode 35. So if you wants to go back and check out those archives, Gary was. So you'll be surprised by all the winners he put in the winner's circle that day. And I'd also add that Travel Column, if you saw the Goldenrod, and I know these guys did, that was an amazing performance by Travel Column that day. He got left to the gate. I mean, just spotted the field, tons of lengths, and just blew by everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So she's special, but Clariere may be special too.
Yeah, I think whoever wins this race is likely to be the Kentucky Oaks favorite.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's wrap it up with the Twinspires.com Louisiana Derby. This is $1 million, grade 2 for the 3-year-olds. Like last year, they increased the distance last year. Now we're going mile and 3/16. I'm sure the favorite is going to be number 6, Mandaloon, for Brad Cox and Juddmonte Farms, and will be ridden by Florent Giroux. He comes off a win in the Risen Star Stakes on February 13th. Gary, who do you like in Louisiana Derby?
Hard to get real cute in here. I mean, I think that the Risen Star 1, 2, 3 runners are going to be right there again this time. If I'm looking at a new shooter, I think Run Classic is really interesting. He threw up a few pretty salty Briz figures his first 2 efforts, and seems to be really coming into his own. Obviously, the distance is a question mark, but this is a horse that they've always thought highly of. Made the stretch out from 6 furlongs to a mile and a 16th look easy last time. So that's the wild card horse that I'm looking at. I'm not too into Hot Rod Charlie, from the West Coast, even though you could make a case that maybe the California horses are a little bit better, or appear to be. But I think it's the Risen Star 1, 2, 3 runners, and we'll see who gets the nod at the mile and 3/16. They're all training well. They're all doing well. I think this will be a really, really fun race to the finish.
Alan, I'm going to go to you next, but first I want to point out Hot Rod Charlie in the program is going to be trained by Leandro Mora. That's not really a trainer change. It's the previous trainer on here, Doug O'Neill, was suspended for a drug violation for 10 days. But it's not a trainer switch. It's still basically the same stable. Second thing I want to point out, Gary mentioned Run Classic. Brett Calhoun won this race 2 years ago with By My Standards at a big price. So worth noting anyway. So, Alan, take it away.
I thought you were also going to mention, I'm glad you brought about Leandro Mora. I mean, yeah, folks, when you see that, that's Doug O'Neill you're looking at. And that is the horse that's a half to Matoli, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that is correct.
And Midnight Bourbon is a
half to Gervin and many others. Alan? Alan?
Oh, no.
I didn't want to hear him anyway.
Yeah, cut him out.
Yeah, he's out. Brandon, you take over.
Yeah, I'll pick up. I thought Run Classic was a very interesting entry. I always call it the Brett Baum equation. He hasn't been really bombing. I look for him at Keeneland more to throw some bombs out there, but I thought that was a really unique new shooter. Like the morning work tabs, I definitely am going to keep my eye on that horse. I've always been a fan of Proxy. I think Proxy's really got a big shot. I'm going to pick Proxy as my number one choice, actually. Mandaloon, you're taking blinkers off this horse. I always go back to that 7 furlongs at Churchill Downs, and it looked like the horse had to do a whole lot to get there and for that win. And I've just never been like overly impressed. I was shocked on the Risen Star, but I really think the equipment change may have helped him that day, and you get a little bit better price. But the horse ran awesome that day. You can't deny how well he did at the Risen Star. So, I mean, he's definitely going to be in the running, no doubt, and probably on the pace. So, my three are the Run Classic, Proxy, Mandaloon, and a special mention to our good friends and pals, Greg Foley in the Foley Barn, Travis Foley, and Bernard Racing, and my friend Brian Bernard with Bezos. They're really taking a shot with this horse. I'm very interested to see. I wish them the very best. There is only 8 horses in here, and who knows? I mean, this horse could be, they always start out, sprinting, but then maybe the horse did like the distance. I just don't think it really had kind of the next level of some of the other competitors like Mandaloon, Proxy, and Midnight Bourbon. So, but special shout out to those guys, and I hope that they finish in the money.
Yeah, for me, I'm just going to use Run Classic, Proxy, Hot Rod Charlie, and Mandaloon. I think that's gonna wind up my pick 4, pick 5 ticket. Gary, I'm going to ask you. DRF had Mandaloon at a 98 buyer and Proxy a 97. Do you trust those figures?
I do. I mean, Mandaloon ran 100 Briz speed figure last time. That's really, really salty for a 3-year-old. Life is good, and the Baffords are running 103s, 104s, something like that. So I thought all those horses made the necessary step forward from the LeCompte to the Risen Star to prove they were legitimate 3-year-olds. And if they can make another step or two up the ladder, they can be competitive with some of the other Derby heavy hitters. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, if you think those figures are real, I think Mandaloon, Proxy, Midnight Bourbon, you've got to take them seriously, especially in here and then going forward. So, all right, before we wrap up, Gary, I hate to put you on the spot again, but late pick 4, could you just give you a first draft of a ticket, just to give us an idea of what you're going to do or how you're going to handle your late pick 5 and pick 4 tickets?
Yeah, so the late pick 4, there's going to be a pretty good promotion on Twinspires.com from what I'm hearing. So if I was playing the late pick 4, I would single Owendale. I'd go pretty deep in the Munez with at least Factor This, Cross Border. I'm tossing Colonel Liam. I'd use Logical Myth. I'd use Spooky Channel, Conviction Trade, Olympic Runner, and Pixelate. I'd use a bunch in there. I'd use the 2 big fillies in the Oaks, and I would use 4 in the Louisiana Derby: Run Classic, Proxy, Mandaloon, and Midnight Bourbon. All
right, that sounds great. Well, Gary, we thank you for joining us once again. Your input is very valuable. I hope everybody took good notes of Gary's selection.
I hope so too. Hopefully we have some things to talk about, some winnings to share.
Yeah, and hopefully if you wrote down Brandon's selections, you've pitched them in the garbage by now.
There you go.
Yeah, I do like that ticket. I do like that ticket formation for sure on pick 4 and pick 5. I want to probably do the same. I've been sitting out for a couple weeks, which is very rare for me. So I'm definitely gonna have a good Saturday card. I might even go to the Louisville Thoroughbred Society here in Louisville. They just opened this week, and I joined, and so I hope to spend some time up there and maybe put a couple of tickets together.
There you go. I've heard it's very nice. I need to get up there after here in a few weeks after some of the madness, but I have heard really, really good things.
Yeah, me too. We spent a night up there for the Breeders' Cup.
Nice.
So it was a lot of fun.
All right, Gary, before we let you go, any advice on the NCAA tournament this weekend? Anything you like?
Guys, I'll be honest. I've been a bad sports fan this year. I've totally lost interest. I don't think I'm a U of L grad, and I don't know if I've watched a single U of L game. I used to be a diehard fan. I just have lost interest.
I understand. Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. Like I said, Gary, safe travel to New Orleans this weekend, and hopefully we'll cross paths soon. And we thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this evening.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Good luck this weekend.
See you,
All
Gary.
right.
See you.
Okay, that was Gary Palmisano, everybody. Alan, we lost you there for a minute, pal. Are you back?
Oh yeah, the internet in this house is amazing. I pay quite a bit for this house, but I guess I need to pay a little bit more for the internet. But I am glad to be back with you guys.
All right. Well, we didn't get your opinion on the Louisiana Derby. Who did you ultimately land on?
Well, once I tell you this, you'll probably wish my internet went out again, because after I pick this horse, I'm probably gonna get kicked off the podcast. But I'm going to take a flyer at about 20 or 30 to 1, knowing full well how this is going to turn out. But I'm going to take Right and Just, Colby Hernandez and Shane Wilson. Hear me out. I know Mandaloon and Proxy and Hot Rod Charlie are likely much better horses, but this horse gunned it from the far outside last time out of the gate in the Risen Star, and kind of got pressured the whole way around. It's his first try against winners, and this race is loaded with stalkers. I have a feeling from the 2-hole he should get a clear lead, and all these stalkers perhaps may fight for position with each other. Maybe they forget about Right and Just and just let him saunter on the lead, and maybe at a mile and 3/16 he just gallops. I'm going to have him on any pick 4 ticket I have, but again, I'm going to go for a real flyer here at the Right and Just, and realize that it might be a bit of a stretch. But anyway, that's what you guys missed out on when I lost my internet.
I'm glad I muted you earlier.
I don't blame you.
All right. Well, before we hang up, Brandon, any final thoughts?
Brad Cox. I still think he's going to be 4 wins on Saturday's card, with the most respect. But man, he's got a lot of shooters, and I wish him and the barn connections the very best. Maybe they get 6 wins. Let's see what happens. I mean, this is his time to shine. He's shined before down there, won this thing a few other times. So let's see what happens.
All right, go ahead.
I just want to say thank Michelle Lovell, and I did it again, Michelle Lovell and Gary Palmisano for stopping by. We love having both of those guys on, and we're going to have them on again in the future, folks. We're going to warn you now because they're great.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. So we'll wrap it up here. On behalf of Alan and Brandon, and of course Gary and Michelle, 2 weeks to Keeneland. Can't wait. The weather's getting better in Kentucky, and we're going to have a whole lot more to talk about soon. In the meantime, for all those listening at home, on Mars, on the moon, across the globe, wherever you have a smartphone, just remember the gambling money ain't got no home.